Hi, today we're going to the PAT paper from 2010 looking at question 11. So question 11 says to sketch the curves y equals x squared and x equals y squared and to find the area between them. Okay, so the first curve y equals x squared is one we should be very familiar with. We know what that looks like. It's just a U shape, a parabola. So we'll start by sketching that. So that just comes out like this, and it's symmetric about the y-axis. It touches the y-axis at x equals 0. Okay, so what about x equals y squared? This is more of an unfamiliar one. So we have x equals y squared. Well, normally we have y equals something x. So why don't we square root both sides, remembering the fact that it can be positive or negative, and get that y is equal to plus or minus the square root of x. So think about when this is defined. Well, we know that we can't take the square root of a negative number. We can't have a real number coming out of that. And clearly, this means that we can't have x less than 0. So this graph is not defined below the x equals 0 point. So we only have it over here. Similarly, we have it being symmetric about the x-axis because we have for every x we put in, we get a plus y and a minus y. And in fact, what this is going to be, it's going to be a very similar shape but on its sides. It's going to be a U shape like this. So as x gets larger, the square root is still increasing, but not very sharply. So it will start to flatten off, but it's not actually approaching any asymptote. It's always increasing. So what we get is this. Okay, so what's the intersection point here? Well, for them to intersect, we must have that x squared is equal to, well, clearly it's not going to be equal to minus root x. So x squared is equal to root x. When is that the case? Well, clearly we see that is when x equals 1. And when x equals 1, y equals 1. So we get the intersection point is 1, 1. So what's the area between them? What is this area here? Well, we know the curve on top is x equals y squared, and the curve on the bottom is going to be y equals x squared. So if we can do the area below the x equals y squared graph, and then subtract the area below the y equals x squared graph, we'll be left with this intersection here. So doing that, we get the area is between 0 and 1 of x to the half, the positive region, minus x squared dx, which equals to 2/3 x to the 3 over 2 minus 1/3 x cubed between 0 and 1, which is 2/3 minus 1/3, which gives us the area as 1/3.